the emergence of barren women. In the 50s, my mama got caught in the back of a musty Pontiac with her legs in a Catholic Cohen. She wanted to do it and did, but got caught by a hard man, a missed period, and me. Soft bones and white spittle, me and my waist all over my mama's hands. As a child, she dreamt of nursing in white stockings with stiff cap, part of the colored elite rising in America, 1954. My mother, the only colored speck in St. Teresa's School of Nursing, first negress, capped and pinned. After she finished 9 months, she dropped out when I dropped in. Her life. In the 60s, I applied to Berkeley and got on the pill. The threat of hard men shrunk with the tiny secret I swallowed each morning. In college, I buried my Catholic roots and studied biology, feminist archaeology, dissecting the remains of old women, the details of their waste, their patience. I moved fast the morning after my blood was late. Cheap and quick, needles and scraping let me out the trap, a clot of black and red cells that wanted to shit all over me and make my dreams useless as a mother in the nuclear age. My mother sits. My mother remembers a nursing cap flattened in the back of my father's car. Child molestation is a national affair. In elementary school, the worn places in my underwear were dirty secrets under my skirt. But junior high issued me a gym locker, a line to stand in, and a bench, cold and public, where other girls got their chance to snicker at my drawers. The steam from the shower fogged my eyes, so I squinted at the pubic hairs of older girls. I watched for their breasts. Who knew what a woman would grow to be? Me in my braless, sore lumps, a bald vagina. I seen my best friend Sheila bouncing in the nude. I smelled her and saw Kotex underneath pantyhose. Sheila had matching pastel slips and clean brasiers. Sheila had a father that bought her family money, a brick house, a daily change of panties. Sheila could curse, and she was moody and wouldn't let her father kiss her in the morning. At night, he snuck in her bed, wanted to get her ready for breaking in, so he fingered her more and more. Sheila could string together nasty words like a ugly wino. A crazed washerwoman sick of her kids. Sheila showed me how to make my fingers like a dick and balls that meant, fuck you, mother sucker. And Sheila pointed out the purple marks on girls' thighs, the welts swollen in the steam, exposed in hot water with pointed breasts and boxes of menstrual pads for feminine protection. I didn't want no daddy. Would keep flat and dry forever without a period of physical education. Keep tight my legs from sprouting something a man might want to touch. And keep my nasty panties, the holes in my drawers, a private, dirty secret. History as trash. White yuppies in Santa Monica go through their attics for stuff they will sell on side streets. 25 cents for a photo of a colored gentleman in a high collar, all bougie and stiff and proper, like he could read. A portrait rescued from the trash by my Negro hands. I hand-picked a picture of this brother. Should have been on his grandbaby's altar. Could have been my uncle or my mother's teacher's preacher. Somebody out there in the great gap-filled Negroid space, in the fascinating, stomach-hurting trek of Africans tearing up and building up all that black energy wound up right here on my ass. That same Afro-sticky history is all over the face of this man. Photograph prove it. It's because he's a ghost I think of death and God and the God of dead Negroes. And dead Negroes bring to mind spirits and the soul part smaller than a breath and death again, the way all Negroid bodies die. I believe he died angry, a hurt common to the colored at the time. I believe he died mad, and his madness survives in the air of my world. He could have been my people. Good as the great-grandmama, I don't know. The lost ancestors screaming in my dreams, and they don't got the good sense of an angel. And they don't got the patience of a slave. And they don't share no comforts, no secrets. In honor of the lost ancestor, I hang my fists on nails and sacrifice fried meat. Because dead Voondoon relatives pick at the violence in my mouth. It's a sin and a shame, they dizzy whispers. That crazed hiss lets me know death ain't silence like the Jesus clone promises. And the white god of Santa Monica, or the yuppie deities of indifference, needs plenty closet space and picks out what's useless and trades it to strangers for quarters, single bills, whatever they could get. Womanist face aches. History ain't none of my friend. History loud talks me like a worn-out worker, a cleaning lady with humiliations hidden in the folds of her skin. Culture warns me to hush my mouth and honor the bloodlines as in brother, as in black, as in kinship of slavery. The way I can't razor cut the women and men apart, the Afro-American chained shackle of nigger sensibilities. Yesterday I drove past 4 black youth handcuffed and on their knees across the street from USC, and like, why did they need 6 cop cars for 4 boys in tennis shoes type thing? And every time Rashidi visits the West Side, he gets hassled and searched and stopped. Never happens to me. And Antar told me he can't walk up on a white woman alone at the instant teller 'cause his shiny face and hair bumps just about stop her heart dead from beating. And I used to wanna be a man, but not for the dick part. If I could just play off a couple of extra inches and draw a bogus mustache with a felt tip pen, I could roam Venice Beach in peace. Except as a black one, I'd look criminal. With shoulders and penis and animal instincts cause the man to track me down, just like history hunts my tongue with its grotesque evidence, traces of coon hunts clansmen took for sport, celebrating white supremacy with razor cuts through the groin, and stuffed our brother's open mouth with his own testicles. Mother, sister, baby love cut the body down and cleared the breathing passages and cleaned the corpse as if it were a premature infant, precious and bound for better times, sweeter places in the future tense when manhood could recover and recycle. History as in story, as in stolen, whipped, and lied to. Culture as in colored, as in strips of the dissected heart. What does a survivor of the Jewish Holocaust say to the remains of an African one? I know you, your center as soft as domesticated animals, wronged as the white rats who absorb human cancers. My vagina, the most dangerous thing I own, wraps me in skin, linked to that suffering. I stretch for body parts that won't go numb. Bring this heart out of shock. Rebirth the dark pulse, a marrow of gut emotion, black enough to swallow and digest this, the twisted present tense. Poem in gratitude for San Kyu, dedicated to my karate instructor, O-sensei Maria Dost. O sensei of everything, sensei of the disabled stars and the battered ozone, sensei of the cruel street and the dirty concrete details of my living, sensei of the blockage, of the beauty, of the blackness in the night, the urban dark that gives no peace to women. Sensei of the misogynist creation myths, the erect gods of punishment and frozen emotion, the histories written to break the will of pickaninnies and sluts and every color cunt bitches. When the race war calls on me to act a fool, when the dragon baby throws a tantrum because the rotten mother is drunk again, when rage and payback call on me to damage human flesh, I call on you, O sensei of the X-ray vision and tuned up intuition. O symbolic sensei who knows all things, accepts all things, believes all things. There is a splinter, there is a crack, there is a wall. The sky split and spit me to the ground like a turd, like animal waste mixed in blood, refusing to clot. My name, a streak of wounds too stubborn to heal. O sensei of the screwed up universe, of children pounded into perverse shapes and penetrated with hate. O sensei, O sensei, O sensei of the burned out wish for quiet, of the desire for peace that honors the disease of its roots. O sensei of the black meditation, of the warm breathing space, the colorless place in between the in and exhale, sensei of the natural life forces meant to free us, this balance inside my fists, this belly as smart as my brains, these toes in line with every moving target. I shake my hidden fist at the bad guys. I cut paths around crazies and let them have their wretched space. I gather up girls with knobby knees and ugly glasses and promise them, like I was never promised, you can make from the mud of your suffering. You can cut a path of power from the arc of your breath. You can find your feet as holy instruments, a link to the girl hero in the earth, so delicate, so solid, that the spark and truth of your survival will follow you all your days. Uterus Root. This class I took in Santa Cruz in Women's Studies was my first real woman-identified experience, my first long, straight look at the big and wonderful and historically relevant vagina, the pussy, the mother cunt, and how everybody comes through the womb, and how white boy existentialists, a dying breed, say, you are born alone. And we know better. We know your mama was right there, right from between her legs, your first home, the sound of your first heartbeat. Set your ass up for the drum and dancing and fucking and everything that is a natural rhythm. It was the feminists first hit me to the root, the uterus root. See, boys make their seed, they just mix it up on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, on a minute-to-minute basis, and discharge it. Their bodies expel those seeds into the indifferent night, nocturnal ejaculation, when they can't find nothing to catch that nut. For them straight girls and they boyfriends, honey, he's probably fixing some up right now. Something hot and sweet he wants to let loose in you someplace tonight. But girls, see, we was born with every egg we'll ever have. We made every one while we was growing inside the womb of the mother. So my mama made the first molecule of me inside the belly of the grandmother. And the grandmother held the first biochemical trace of my ass and passed me inside the belly of my mother. And my mother walked around close to 20 years with me inside her ovaries. And she guarded me against venereal disease and technology. And I sat up there inside her with all the other eggs floating in the blood of her emotion. And the Father came along and touched her, and I commenced to grow. The craft. To write, you gotta get your head full of yourself. And you gotta divorce all the falseness of the world from your brain molecules. You gotta feel like God, as important as the crutch God, the trickster God, the God of laughter and puns. To write, you gotta swell up your chest, blow out your heart, and empty your veins of blood that might bleed if you cut yourself in the kitchen. You gotta think your stuff is stiff with iron, your spirit the center of the world, your hands the connective tissue of all the typewriters that ever put out a chat book. You gotta ego rush, chest thump, and finger fuck yourself into literary orgasm alone with no feedback at all. Alone. It is better than sex or human understanding. It is beyond and into the amazing pool of the cultures of the world compressed. It is cool. It is putting yourself into the coolest cool club in the world. It is separation from the mundane and union with the divine. It is live. Then you fart or break your toe or fall into a rash of childhood memories that want the blindness of self-pity. Then some slime gives you a hard time on the streets, and all that swirling power comes back flat into your plain black hands and thin skeleton that will soon bend with age and death. To write, you gotta gag on blood, gag on broken bones. You gotta court and marry the scum of organized life, the indifference of our Mother Earth, who wounds and rots and eats unlucky children. You gotta cross the big street, dodge the big cars, get hit, get hurt, get mad, and right about that, you gotta limp, be ugly, be smelly, and full of the funk stuck to your hands. It is meaner than lust, harder than human relationship. It is lonely as adolescence for a zit-faced girl. It will absorb and exhaust your spirit of fire and open eyes. It is separation from the mundane and union with the divine. It is live. Last days in church in Mexico. My friend Enrique drinks mezcal for the jellyless vertebrae in his back. Good, clear, bootleg alcohol that numbs the pain that comes with the cold in Mexico. If it is a bad day, he tells me as he lays down his tools and lines up his paints, the drink helps me remember the air itself is innocent. The blue bandana is the blue eyes he looks through when he mixes the new color for the old saints he restores. The doves make a sound like fire. The wild birds crackle, blurs with the Mexican radio, a mix-up of natural and electric sounds that reminds me of the city, of urban violence, what Enrique warns me about, my kin from the city, my kind, the tree killers and lovers of cash. I grin because I know he lies. I hit the mezcal because I feel tickled. All around us the gods are bleeding, all the saints too old to recognize. So I think of flesh, Enrique's hands, my tongue, and the hearts of the dead artisans who propelled their suffering through paint and wood so long ago. Their lives hung on stained sticks, inside sexless men in rotting robes. That time spread out and decayed, letting the children grow and give birth, and grow and give birth again, until we grew into an age of humans who murder trees for toothpicks and ruin the earth. The descendants pump the soil with chemical nutrients that force up a sweet corn. Next year, says Enrique, next year's the land will be useless, and in May the flowers are dried and gray. He tells me I am a thief, trying to make money from the words of an old art restorer. No, I say, I make no money from my art. Ah, the bourgeois privilege of those who can do what they want. I show my teeth. I pop my fingers. My face is pasted with the color of the big continent. The glow in my mouth is the mean music of African slaves transformed on American dirt. I am tall. I am nigger power they call gringa negra. So I snap my fingers and let my face break in wide grins. Enrique is white, pure Aryan with azure eyes, and the German bone structure born to the twisted history of Eastern Europe. He escaped, built this church and a museum in Pátzcuaro where he remakes Latin artifacts. He says he has never known home. I am dark and displaced. He speaks 5 languages. I watch him drink. Foolish priests, he says, his words beginning to slur, tricked by tunes and the precision of language, and I don't get his meaning, though I agree priests are foolish. Notice the different character of our creations, he continues, and the face he paints fills in with a look cleanly human, sharply sad, made from a murdered tree. Notice the balance and the work of the Spaniards, all these thick robes stable on 2 small feet. His iron tools scrape color, tools made from metals to imitate the strokes of the dead Spaniards. You can trust machines, he says, but you cannot trust the people who believe in machines. He tells me the saints whisper to him, "You faithless creature," they say. So I pour him another shot of the bootleg mezcal and pop my fingers. The hard day exists without an intention to beat us down, he says, as he works like an ant with no sense of time. A great heart beats in this old wood, but she will not weep, he goes on. The goddess will return for rejuvenation and revenge, he swears, as he lifts the green glass to the edge of his lips and sucks. Wobbling and red-eyed, he packs his tools in preparation to at last leave the church. Outside, the coldness of Mexico thins to a heated white sky. The church opens underneath a stone sun, not smiling, and a moon with closed eyes. The yellow flowers of wild squash accompany the graves in a corner of the yard. Here the dead lay under square roots and small rocks, hand-layered and trouble to my feet. Here Enrique made an archway from mud. The leaves of the black trees hover over us like a swarm of indifferent bees. Mexicans, a woman and a child, saw me cursing their Jesus on my way out, but I didn't see them. Finally, eyes turned away from the black and blue mountains of God. We wave goodbye, but they say nothing. Traditional, postmodern, NeoHooDoo, Afra-Centric sister in a purple head rag, mourning death and cooking. Traditional, that means has a voice and a person you can relate to, and probably a plot with a beginning, middle, and end. And if you don't understand it, the poem don't work. Postmodern is because of 1945, when the Americans dropped the first nuclear bomb on Nagasaki, Asia, and got everybody thinking about death of the species. More problems, more paranoia. NeoHooDoo, 1972, Conjure by Ishmael Reed, deals out of a black bohemian mentality. Also, post-nationalist boho nats of New York City. NeoHooDoo sound a lot like voodoo, also new, which is not real. Afra-Centric. Afra-Centric, like first colored was the compliment, then Negro was the compliment, and nigger was always the insult. Then change happened, and black was everything beautiful, and Africa was new. Then nigga was the precious secret. Then Afro-mantic. Now everything. Now Afra-centric. Now, of course, news of the first mother of the first womb in the first cave of Afra-centric Africa. Afra-centric, coined by a Sunji, womanist artist. Sister, this means of a woman, of the uterus root, in a purple head rag. Purple, a color like colored like nigga was so black, he was blue. Girl was so blue, she was purple. The color purple, which is Alice Walker, which is our time. A head rag, this be a head rag. As relaxed, as home, as natural. Mourning death. Mourning as the sound of the first day. Mourning as the sound of hurting for the loss of a dead person. Death as barrier to the spirits. And cooking as sexual energy, as communal response, as human feeling. Cubist poem. Momma read it right. I say, I mean girlfriend. Momma read it right. That's a whole day's cooking. I mean, the pot ain't got no problem. And the attitude come from somewhere. You always got to notice who's eating, who's not eating. Show me some kind of respect. Just be real with me. Don't be putting money in your mouth. Girl can fuss. She ain't beating this drum for nothing. Seemed like she was beating it with her heart flesh. Them bloodline wounds, they follow you. It's a sin to hold back any kind of magic you got going. The pendulum is about to stop. You best hope the point don't be on you. Blood is a bright color, and tears are clear. Ever get yourself square and situated in a boxy apartment, cozy enough to ignore your neighbors, nice and nesty with a door that locks in at least a couple of deadbolts, and some shit go down and bust off a chunk of the world's funk and smear it all in your living room? I saw this lady shot through both legs. The bullet lodged in her right knee. I vaguely knew a woman bleeding on my carpet, her baby balanced on my hip, her man, the fool with the gun and attitude enough to shoot. He shot and ripped open my sleeping. Over to Isla Vista, I rented what I thought was a patch of peace. I had to move least 2 long bus rides from over to where my mama stay, where the thugs and muggers make the streets smell and fight. And folks so broke down, you gotta pass 'em. Walk past they black eyes, the greasy lines round they mouths. Your heart can't pump hard enough to help them. Pocket ain't deep enough to share. So you gotta move. Save your own ass. Lock them double locks and don't never crack the door. I went into her screaming. The baby girl never cried. The mother convulsed. The police brought guns and hunted down the man and took the child away. In a quiet neighborhood where folks got jobs and the shit broke loose anyway, it's like some living nasty deep in the air, cruel and crusty, can float up and travel past 3 or 4 bus lines and get you. and mess up your concentrated cool, your hard job and ass, and it ain't no reason. You never know why that cruelty is living with you, breathing and bleeding in your living room. That night, I smoothed the hair of my lover with my palms. With my fingers in his mouth, sleep was a numb dream spun with sharp, geometric shapes and dark, hard colors. And that first breath of the morning was cold as the harsh part of city living. I wanted to see air, bluish and dead. I wanted to fly up. I needed to get out and make time act decent and be kind with me. But I went to work, and I thought, I can tell them the story, how I got fresh blood from a married mother on my rug. And I called every bohemian I knew and wrote 7 8-page letters and told and retold the shots ripping out my sleep, the doors of the neighbors shut or cracked, the vibration of the gun I take to bed with me, gripping my lover in abstract dreams. And in the telling, that rush, that hot clarity of panic passed from me to my coworkers. My friends all got a piece of the violence, and they shared it with their children, their parents. This story about a couple that took in a woman shot through both legs, and the story passed inside the air of the words. The story passed in concentric circles of hurt until the power slowed down and stopped. Then my objective brain kicked in, so I'm talking, and I got able to think about the story, what I'm telling you about the hot bullet and blood, about this baby with eyes so wide she couldn't cry, like I picked up her wound and made it into a scar of my own. So I'm gonna tell you, gotta hold up this scar to the light and let you see. Cats, what has crusted around your eyes? Those tiny lines of lost moisture, like cream smeared on a slide, a sample of your wetness taken by an impotent scientist, your softness lost in a statistic about older, single women. The fur on your cat, the purr from your pet. You know her habits too well. Happily she hops on the bed, and you know just what it means. She needs a scratch, some vigorous petting, and once rubbed, she's satisfied. She naps, curled like a baby boy, inside the void of your thighs. You describe your last lover as vulgar, but sliding onto him was simple as drinking hot beer. He filled your gut and made you dizzy. The cat got lonely with you out so late. The cat got mad and struck your open palm with exposed claws and drew 5 thin lines of blood so you'd remember to never leave her. The odds are against you remembering. You will earn 5 more wrinkles. At least an evil number of vulgar men will pass through you again and make the skin around your eyes thin and ugly. Blood. He made fists when he stripped and grunted blood into the head to make the shadow of his penis huge. Bigger, bigger, best, he'd ask me, and I'd lie like every woman lies still in bliss and say, Yes, lover, it was. Honey, it hurts when you bite my titty like that, I told him. And he turned into the wall and poured out cold sweat and dreamt fear of the little dick dreams, fear of the missile cocked for hatred, and I'd turn Momma so he could turn baby and whimper he'd never rape anyone, not like in dreams. Dreams aren't real. My dick's not too little, is it? In the morning, his blank face ate my food like it was nothing. I caught him on the toilet staring down at his ugly, dead balloon. He called it my enemy, an enemy of women. And he went to bed too early or too late. All the blood stayed in his skull. All the seeds scared like abused children. And though it was nowhere near my time, I began to bleed. How boys get ruined by growth. I had boyfriends before I had pubic hairs, nipples tiny as dimes. I wore glasses and wished for my period. James made me hot just by looking. I liked his Star Trek, his chess pieces. The night he read me Leroy Jones, his spit on closed-mouth kisses sloppy, a spot to press even hotter. I'd pull up my dress. I got a training bra the day we French kissed. We sucked mouths till our lips got numb. His tongue pointed like a fish and slimy. He never knew how slick my pussy got. Flat-chested, practically a boy, James said. Body like a dude without muscles. He liked my mind. He liked physics and white folks' philosophy. Smart nigger boy in the white man's school. Didn't have a chance. We knew it. We knew our minds meant nothing when we read Baraka and soaked up Coltrane, and sex was a dirty space we would break into when my breasts caught up with his beard. He never promised. He opened up to me, the big V for still a virgin and 16 years old. James left our talks to beat his meat in a circle of horny boys, everybody aiming for the Oreo in the middle. Last one to come has to eat it. James told me my tits were too little and went to beat his meat, so it got hard and mean and ugly. The other girl was dumb and got kept back in the 8th grade, her brain stupid enough to laugh at and hate, her tits pumped up with chemicals that said yes. She outgrew her training bra and had hairs and big legs because she let him. He did it. James hustled to fuck the real thing, a nice nipple size, a tight nap in the pubic hair. A boy becomes a man by being hard. James found his erection enormous, and the other boys laughed when he came last. Dating the Dickheads. One head takes me down to Venice for foreign films with hot reputations and a cut-rate price. We suck natural popcorn in the dark. I let him crowd me into his armpit. I let him touch me so he can feel lucky. Another head takes me across town to restaurants in Hollywood and orders stuffed chicken legs and lemonade made with artificial sweetener. The service of the third world servants pleases him. They lift the legs with tongs and lay them on my plate. "Look, sir," they say, "she's smiling already." They call me, those heads. They feel me out. They pick up the check and whoosh open the door from the restaurants, the door to the car. They say they don't want to play games. They want to be real. Honesty makes the head harder. I uncross my legs and put my palms on my knees. What woman don't look good in restaurant lighting? I paid cash money for Jafra Foundation and White Stick so I don't look so old. My eyelashes glitter with technology, and advanced yoga techniques hold back the sags. He is wearing shaving lotion squeezed from the testicles of beavers. I am wearing robes that close at the neck and keep my shape a mystery. Dessert is ordered and we talk. My ex-old man, his current old lady. Boys and girls at war, and how much of a feminist are you? Examples of bitches he has known. You're over 30 and should probably think marriage. Putting the hump back into a doggish throwdown, and how not to intimidate men with stories of lesbian love. Race relations. Black dickhead asks if I prefer white. White dickhead asks for the truth. Is black dickhead bigger? I am sweet, I guarantee, and all I want is dinner. Two black-skinned love losers reconsider Gertrude Stein. 1. Portrait of ex-lover. Many of you think we. Many of you be thinking we, which means me and you plus other miscellaneous people. Many of you be thinking we, which means me and you plus other miscellaneous people who think like we do, like the way we think, like the way we think and deal and process consciousness like we do. And in this way that we think emotion is very important. Emotion is very important to those of us who think about emotion in this way. That feeling and thinking are both important to our process of consciousness. That the way we process and deal with our feelings and thinking makes us a conscious we, which indeed we are. Which indeed is a we that be constantly thinking and looking and understanding our process of consciousness in this way. Which indeed is a comfort and companionship and community, and we like it. And so some of you think, why? And so some of you think, why many things, but this time about love. You be thinking, why somebody else? And so some of you think, why someone to love who does not process consciousness like we do, in the way we do? Why somebody who is outside the we of our consciousness, who does not process consciousness in the way that we do? And so there was a lover who did not process consciousness about feeling and thoughts in the way that we do. And so there was a lover of extreme sexual honesty and loveliness and fat lusciousness who was a lover who did not process consciousness like we do. And so there was a lover living inside the very space of me who was not like the we that we are. A lover who lived as bone and blood inside the very space of me. Inside the very space of me that loves to process consciousness with you in this way. And so there was a lover living and breathing and giving orgasms to the me who belongs to the we of you. And so the power of loneliness became a bright power. And so the power of loneliness got strong and fat and selfish. 2. Dialogue. What I'm trying to say is that it's hard to say what I'm trying to say. You ain't said shit. I'm trying to say that there is something I need to say that is hard to say. You ain't said shit about nothing. I'm trying to talk about feelings that are involved in talking when I try to talk to you about what is so hard for me to say. You ain't said shit about nothing except talking about talking, which ain't saying shit because you ain't said shit in the first place. I'm trying to say that it is hard to say what I have to say when I feel like you can't understand what I'm saying about what I have to say to you, plus other things. Things like what? Things like a softness to the barrier that keeps me away from a sense of you and feeling like I can say what is so hard for me to say to you. 3. Self-portrait. There is the power of the lover who gives orgasms. There is the power of the lover who gives orgasms that has a power. There is the power of the orgasm that has the power to wash over the stickiness of the day and the ugliness of the night. There is the power of the orgasm that widens me. There is the power of the lover who gives orgasms that widens and soothes the me of the we that processes consciousness in the way that we do. There is the power of the way we process consciousness in the way that we do. There is the argument of emotion and thinking that seeks resolution in the way we process our consciousness in the way that we do. There is the emotion that beats up thought. There is the body that beats up thought. There is the thought that desires power over the body. There is the thought that desires power over the body. There is the thought that desires power over the body. There is the lover who comes with the power of love-based erotica and the power of orgasm that washes over the stickiness of the day and the ugliness of the night and the warm heartbeat like an infant who rocks with no consciousness. Solitude ain't loneliness. Say, for instance, you're a girl, but cityfied, a hard sister, like to keep her eyes open when she fucks and carries weapons for the urban night creatures on the prowl. Say you ain't got no Freudian thing, but you packin' nonetheless. Your mucus is acid, your anger on a leash, and can't no wish from the mouth of a warm-eyed human make you blink before the girl mist can enter you. Before you ever cop a feminine buzz and blow the urban rust out your uterus, you got to clear house. You got to clean out all the greasy fuzz left behind by that rat pack lot of ex-lovers. You got to celebrate in silence and wait for a red blush to rise up. A sparkling rush as radical as your first blood, as muscular as your mama's hands in soapy water, cold as the shock of the first breath the earth blew into your lungs. The black sky wants your ass purified and clear enough to release this city's fear, free enough to close your eyes, Go inside and hear her. The Loneliness of Healing, for Deborah McCormick. It comes to you like a grainy dream. You feel only your head, floating eyes, and a chain of words until an axe woke up nerves in the spine. The doctor sends you to a neurologist, who sends you to an orthopedic surgeon, who sends you to a chiropractor, who bursts your budget and swears it's emotional. It's stress-related. It's bad ideas bouncing around in your insides. You were hoping for a pill, some Greek-named disease, rare but easily cured. A prescription poured into your palm from an opaque bottle. Fix me, you say. I am loyal as an automobile, quiet as a girl child. I can't exercise. I can't carry my baby. I can't go to the bathroom. I'll lose my job. Crying flusters doctors, but proves their point. You'll have to bite your New Age hate and hire a therapist. One night, sleep wanders away from you. The household snoring, you slide like a ghost and make yourself tea. Eyes closed, you can press into an infant and catch yourself crying. Because you got yourself water without begging. Because the doctors cast you out the garden of simple cures. Like a secret you find at the bottom of a prayer, you discover a mass that was twisted by your history, backbone connected to the heart of hate, neck hollowed out from urban stress, jaw locked in teeth grinding at night, lumps of hurt, clumps of fear in your stomach you were told to hold in. Tricks. I did as I was told, and look where it got me. The first vision of healing is a flash that fills in your life with excited chatter. I'm going to be okay, you think. All I have to do is calm down and change completely. All I have to do is relax and create trust and learn how to breathe without passion. You get religious. God as crutch and comforter. God as a fleshy place away from revolutionary causes. Prayers so simple, they set you apart from your world view and shrink you down to peanut size. Your wish list distills down to quiet. You dig out a path of comfort through all cells of consciousness, the first cut into the rainforest with sadness in place. You visualize women in blue and purple work clothes with sponges and water bottles who clean up the mess, lubricate your organs, and fix it. Then time asserts its hold on the world and you wear out. The loneliness of healing loops. The solitude of injury recycles when the hurt returns. Pain severs sweetness from your nervous system. Pain slices joy out your body language. Humor fades and fills in with a brutal sky, white and domineering. The bitch takes over and she's worse than cranky. Worse than lost, an abandoned baby. Her eye ducts are wide with extra moisture and love of tantrums. You are always ready to cry. Like a strength you are stealing each time you find your way back to original hope. Flashing and full of primal patience, you take oaths of marriage to yourself. Air tightens around you like a glove, the special present of a body bag God made for you alone. You understand the message of the solitary dream. The desert Marx never thought of, Pan-Africanists forgot to claim, a space cleared between political theories and personal worship where no one comes near you, trapped inside the mystery of a failing body, where no one can come close and share transformation of the pain. Don't want to lose your love. One time I was gliding on the 101 downtown after the rain, and the lights were lit, and the city was orange and black from the night, and the buildings were tall rectangles centered in the black crack of the world in front of me. And the orange seemed magic, seemed like my madness was making the color cool, making the color promise that the poison grit and burned out bad attitude frozen in the physics of LA could do me no harm. I don't want to lose the long rides that do me good as drugs sometimes. And you and love and lies and youth aren't things I can hold on to. But this city, her nasty oils when the sky cries watercolors, this metal bubble of silence where no one looks me in the eye, sugar, this shit is lasting. Manifesting the girl hero. Yo, girl hero, I'm standing at the edge of this patriarchal situation, and you know I got a problem. I'm looking up at the dick-like monster buildings of Westwood and Hollywood and Brentwood, where men with no necks do they dirty business, and you know I might get depressed. I'm at the end of urban LA, where the dirty air of America greets the oily ocean of our world. And I'm saying I cannot get a grip. My good humor is in jeopardy, 'cause the boy hero done had his way and built this cold ass madness. So I'm putting you on notice. I'm calling you out. Yo, girl hero, I'm forming you up like you was mud, and I am powers that be. I'm scraping you off the inside of the television eye, the girl whose goods gets the job done, the bitch whose blood pours into the void and heals it, seeps into the wound and seals it. And the girl ain't no angel. She ain't no soup-cooking mama with Bible and generous breasts. You can't suckle relief from her body, because the girl hero got a problem. She is the wrath of the brutalized vagina, and she don't understand like a woman. She ain't listening like yo mama. She prefers masturbation to the fuck of the slave arrangement called romance and the family. Her lips don't part in a smile of anger, and she don't satisfy easy.